So today I want to break a myth about carbohydrates. I've spoken about this a couple of times, but what I want to explain to you today is why we require carbohydrates. Now, there are two kinds of carbohydrates. There are the good carbs and there are the bad carbs. What we need to understand is that too many people are approaching the whole weight loss game the wrong way. For the longest time, we've looked for shortcuts to reduce our weight and burn body fat. But it's about time that we wake up and realize that there are no shortcuts when it comes to losing weight and building a great immunity and great health. You see, you cannot trick the intelligence and brilliance of the human body in order to lose weight. So we have quick fixes like cutting out carbohydrates, not eating carbs at night, going low carb all the time, having earlier dinners and keeping these very, very long gaps in between your dinner and your bedtime. And we still struggle to lose weight. If low carb diets worked, if not eating carbs at night worked, I don't think so many people would be struggling to lose weight because that's the easiest thing to do. You eat your carbs at breakfast, you eat your carbs at lunch, you cut out carbs at dinner, and you should be losing weight. But most people still struggle to lose weight. And in fact, people who go on low carb diets or avoid carbohydrates at dinner time, you may find that they lose about 2 to 3 kilos initially. They're all happy, and then they start to put on body fat, especially in their abdominal area. And today we're going to understand exactly why this happens and why you should start eating carbs at night, why your dinner should contain carbohydrates. There's a science behind it, and when you understand, I'm hoping and encouraging each and every one of you who are struggling to lose weight or build great immunity and have better energy levels to do this. What we need to understand, number one, let's go back to evolution. We always go back to evolution, even though times have changed and we have technology and, everything's changed. When you go back to evolution, people hunted during the day. They hunted and gathered. These were the hunters and gatherers. They hunted and they gathered for food, and they usually had their feast or their main meal at night. And that worked for them. Although today, we've changed that. We all still believe in breakfast being the heaviest meal, lunch being the heaviest meal, and dinner being the lightest meal. Yes, that continues to be the same because we don't work as much as people did in the olden days. We have cars, we have drivers, we have servants, we have, transport, all of these things. So yes, our physical expenditure of energy is far lesser. So dinner should continue to be the lightest meal of the day. But when I say lightest, we don't make it light by removing carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are still required for weight loss. They're required for energy. They're required for your moods. They're required for your immunity. And let me explain how that works. So number one, carbohydrates provides the working energy to all your muscles. Now your muscles or your muscle tone requires energy because your muscle is required for you to burn fat. Remember, fat loss is not about calorie restriction alone. It is not about just good sleep. It's not about just high protein. It's not just about exercise. Everyone's been doing that for years and years and still struggling to lose weight. It is about the production of HGH, which is your human growth hormone, produced by the pituitary gland. And this HGH is what helps you build muscle, which in turn helps you cut fat. It helps you burn fat. It increases your metabolic rate so that your body is continuously burning fat throughout the day. So number one, where does your muscle get the energy from? It gets it from carbohydrates. Number two, most people today prefer to have earlier dinners, which is a good habit as long as you have carbohydrates in that dinner. And when people go out for late night functions and parties, they either don't eat at all, thinking that they shouldn't be eating at night. But guess what? If you don't eat at night and you're awake, your body still requires energy because you're awake at that point. And if it doesn't get the energy it requires, it goes into famine mode. And we all know what happens in famine mode. Your cortisol goes up and the fat storage switch goes on. Secondly, why you need carbohydrates before you sleep. Most people think that while you sleep, your body doesn't require much energy, but your body requires a lot of energy while you sleep. Energy to perform detoxification, energy to perform toxin removal, energy to revitalize your organs, regeneration, growth, cell repair. All of this requires energy. And where does your body get this energy from while you're sleeping? It gets it from the carbohydrates that you ate at dinner time. And if it does not get this kind of energy, detoxification doesn't happen the right way, which means you're left with more toxins. And we all know when you have more toxins in your body automatically holds on to fat or produces more fat to protect the insides, the nucleus of your cells. Every cell has to be protected by a thin layer of fat, which gets thicker and thicker when you have more and more toxins in your body. Secondly, repair and growth will not happen with the right amount of energy, which means your chances of having inflammation in your body is higher. And when you have inflammation, you have more acids. When you have more acids, it's almost a constant struggle to lose weight. We require carbohydrates while we sleep, which means that your dinner should have carbohydrates to provide energy to your body while you sleep. Metabolism happens to burn fat, and that happens while you sleep. All your fat burns while you sleep, never while you exercise. The process happens while you exercise, but the actual fat burn happens while you sleep, which requires energy. For fat to burn, it requires energy. Energy comes from carbohydrates. If your body does not get energy from carbohydrates, it starts breaking down your muscles. It starts breaking down your muscles first for energy and then fat. If it's breaking down your muscles, guess what? If you have less muscle, you have more body fat. If you have more muscle, you have a chance of slashing down and burning fat more effectively. Thirdly, when it comes to hormonal balance, I always say weight loss and fat burn is all about communication between your cells and your hormones and hormonal balance. You can have the best exercise program, the best nutrition program, the best sleep, but if you have a hormonal imbalance or incorrect communication between your cells, you cannot lose weight. In fact, you will put on weight. So I'm talking about leptin, which is your satiety hormone, and ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. When you have carbohydrates at night, your leptin is regulated, which means when your leptin is regulated, your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormones, are on the lower side. And most people tend to get cravings for food and snacks and sugary items at night. And it'll be these people who have cut down on their carbohydrates in the evening or through the day. So leptin is decreased and ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, increases. And then you can't use willpower all the time. Willpower has a shelf life. It cannot win the battle against your biology, physiology, and chemistry of your cells and your body, which means these cravings will depress you or overpower you, and then you'll end up binging. So it is so important for you to have carbohydrates at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if dinner is going to be the lightest meal of your day, which it should still contain carbohydrates. Now coming to sleep. Sleep is so important for weight loss, and if you've not had the right amount of carbohydrates in the night, it can actually affect your sleep. For you see, an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan basically induces sleep, but it needs to cross the blood-brain barrier and reach your brain. For that, it needs insulin. You get insulin when you eat carbohydrates. You eat carbohydrates and you eat carbohydrates and insulin gets triggered. And this insulin breaks down tryptophan into serotonin. Serotonin helps you sleep, and it actually helps your mood to be better. So your mood also gets impacted with carbohydrates. Have you ever figured when you eat a high-carb meal why you feel sleepy? It's because tryptophan crosses the blood-brain barrier, gets converted into serotonin, and makes you feel sleepy, and sometimes it gives you that satisfied feeling, a good feeling. You feel good when you eat good food because serotonin makes you feel good. It's a happy hormone. So you see, you need carbohydrates even for your moods. Carbohydrates provides energy to your brain. Your brain uses energy from the breakdown of carbohydrates, which is why when people go on low-carb diets or no-carb diets, they're irritable, they're frustrated, they're depressed, they're angry. Their moods completely change because their brains do not get the energy it requires from carbohydrates. So you see, there's no shortcut when it comes to your health, your moods, or even losing weight. Your workouts, if you're the kind of person who works out in the evening and you're deciding to go low carb post-evening, that's the biggest mistake you'll make for your body, for your muscles, and for your fat loss and your energy levels. After a good workout, you need to replenish glycogen, and that comes from carbohydrates. If you do not have sufficient carbohydrates because you've decided to go low carb or skimp on the carbs, thinking that I've had a great workout, now let me eat less, create a deficit, and lose weight, guess what? It is actually going to backfire against you, because now your body's going to start breaking down muscle and protein for energy, and then fat. And if your muscles do not have the right amount of protein, they cannot grow. And we all know the more muscle you have, the less fat, the more fat you burn. It's as simple as that. So post a workout, you need to have the right amount of carbohydrates. And of course, what's really important, the right quality of carbohydrates. So when it comes to carbohydrates, what kind of carbohydrates do you choose for dinner? There are good carbs and your bad carbs. Your bad carbs are all of your processed junk, your white flour, your white sugar, and everything else. And your good carbs are your good grains like millets, brown rice, or white rice, or red rice. If you don't have a problem with gluten, it could be your wheat rotis, it could be buckwheat, it could be your millets. All of those are great complex carbs. Vegetables are good complex carbs as well. Your grains, the good grains, are good complex carbs as well. And all of this helps with weight loss. The biggest issue we have right now is most people have a deficiency in B vitamins. And what's the importance of B vitamins? B vitamins helps carbohydrates metabolize into energy. You see, all of us eat carbohydrates, but if we don't have the right vitamins that can metabolize carbohydrates into energy, then we have a problem. And when you look, people have deficiencies of folic acid today, which is B9. You have a deficiency of B5. You have a deficiency of B8, B3. We know that with the amount of hair fall problems that people have. And of course, B12, which has become a very common deficiency. So it shows that we are naturally low in B vitamins. If we're low in B vitamins, we cannot metabolize carbohydrates the right way. So we don't blame carbohydrates as the bad macronutrient. We don't pull it away from our diet. We correct our vitamin deficiency. We have the right amount of B vitamins from foods or supplements if necessary, and then we allow our body to break down carbohydrates into energy for our brains, for our muscles, for the repair, for the growth, for our immunity, and for weight loss and metabolism. You see, they make one drug for one ailment, but one vitamin or one mineral can take care of over 50 to 100 different problems, just one vitamin or mineral. So we should always look for these deficiencies and try to correct them, number one. So please start eating carbohydrates at night. And if you're going to have a late night, eat some food. Your body requires energy. Your mind thinks that you don't require energy because if you eat, it's a myth that if you eat food at night, your body will not digest it the right way and it'll store as fat. That's not true. It is true if you overeat. If you overeat anything, the good and the bad, you will have a problem with the storage of fat. Your body will store fat. Anything that it doesn't need, it will store as fat. So eat a proper meal. Eat your carbohydrates, your protein, and your fats equally at night. Your portion can be smaller, but it has to be balanced. And if it's a late night, you should eat. Keeping that long gap, and yes, of course, if you eat too fast, you create more acid in your body. That's going to be a problem too, because we all know in an acidic body, it's extremely difficult for you to lose weight or burn fat. So change your mindset about carbohydrates. It's the wrong quality of carbohydrates and the overeating of carbohydrates that creates most of the problems. And I can bet each and every one of you who are struggling to lose weight, start eating carbohydrates. Get off your low-carb diet and get onto a smart carb diet. That's what's going to work for your body, that's what's going to work for your mind, and that's what's going to work for your immunity. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep. Have a good day, everyone.